And, all right. Checking. I'll log in and check it real quick.
Okay.
Where is... Oh, there we go. I didn't even know which browser I'm on.
Some people's husbands.
Right?
Ooh. Sorry, I saw something that looked vaguely steampunk. I got excited.
Oh, the Wassailor outfit.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I'm trying to finally get the skirt or the blouse to drop because I've got a lot of the pieces. I've got a lot of stand-in pieces,
Uh-huh.
and I want the hat. At least I
Yeah,
hope
the hat's
hat
beautiful.
This,
And the shades are amazing.
but like this is about as much as I've got. So I've got some of these. I've got the black alternate versions, but I've got like the boots, the gloves, the coat, the earrings, the choker, and the hairpin. But that's about. So I hate my mouse wheel, but that's about as far as I've got. And if I'm standing in a little lit area, it can show a little better. But there's actually like some pattern on the coat.
All right.
Well, it's and just the faction one, whereas the black one, it exists if you zoom way in. So
Right. Okay, well, I verified on the webpage that we are broadcasting, so I think we're good.
Awesome.
Right, so let's give pause so I can pick it up from here. Let's go live in.
On this episode of the AIE Podcast.
What is everyone playing?
Pets are on sale.
AIE in SWTOR celebrates its trilogy anniversary.
Eve is moving.
And Radozato is here to talk to us about AIE in the Secret World.
All that and more coming up right now.
Bringing you the latest news from the AIE gaming community from planet Earth and beyond. This is the AIE Podcast.
Welcome to episode 220 of the podcast celebrating the Alia Ayakta-S gaming community. This is Makala. Right over there is Tetsemi. Tetsemi, really, I can pronounce my own husband's name.
Welcome to the world of Garrisoncraft, where your followers play the game better than you do.
Or at least more often. And the always awesome Eludra is off digging in the dirt for more pets tonight. First of all, we want to apologize for the sporadic podcast the last few weeks. This time of the year makes it hard to record or evidently post the normal show. Both the last shows are now up on the feed. And thanks so much to Alikaz and Hans for stepping in last week. That's all in the past, though. This week, we're joined by our very special guest, Radozato, who's here to talk to us about AIE in the Secret World. Welcome.
Thanks.
All right, so it's been a pretty crazy week or so. Ted, how's your week been?
It's been good, mostly focused on World of Warcraft. I did get a second tune to 100 just to do it because I like tank characters, so I leveled my DK up, and he's ready for heroics, which, not that we're going to get into this, but Blizzard, why are heroics harder than LFR? It's crazy. But that's about it, other than enjoying the holiday stuff.
Awesome. And I know, Rado, we kind of had some pre-show chatting about D&D and such, but how's your week been going?
Pretty good. In particular, we had a interesting exercise of just how quickly my work can adapt to, two key people were sick. So it's like, oh crap, we need to scramble, get some people, and we managed to pull it off.
Awesome. Yeah, sometimes when your office revolves around one or two people, something happens, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And when everything works, it totally works. But when it doesn't,
totally works.
No.
Oh yeah. Oh, most definitely. All right, so we're going to be digging into the Secret World in just a few minutes, but first we have this week's news.
AIE News.
Did you get an Xbox or a PS4 for the holidays? If so, there are threads in the AIE community sections of the forums listing IDs. Also, there are lots of similar games ongoing or starting up all the time. See the Imperium Ludi section of the forums, go to the forums, for more details. I'm sure with all the games received over the holidays, you can also follow the AIE Nomads on Twitter or check out the forums at, there's a forum link in the show notes for all the information. I'm sure with all the games that they received over the holidays, they'll be picking up their roaming ways after the new year. Shimmer Edge has started a great thread on the forums just asking, are you okay? A lot of us have problems, especially this time of year, and it's nice to have a place just to vent, talk, give, and get virtual hugs, etc. And just for fun, Snaff wants to know what you got for Christmas. Reading the thread, it looks like a lot of AIE was indulged in some great geeky holiday gifts. So guys, what did you enjoy most this season?
Awesome. And in pet news, Blizzard is celebrating Winter Veil by offering holiday savings of 50% off on select World of Warcraft mounts and pets. Through January 5th, 2015, take advantage of some great deals in the Battle.net pet shop. And the best thing, all of these pets and mounts are fully giftable. And did someone go out of your way to help you in-game? Did they make your day by queuing with you just one more time in an LFR? Don't forget to thank a guildmate thread. And also, the AIE officers in all of the games are looking for new guildies of the month. They can be reached, or nominations can be sent to gotm@gmail.com. We try to announce our All-Stars at the first of every month. And this is not limited to WoW. We want to hear about great guildies in all of the games AIE plays. Also, do you want to try raiding, but you're afraid to start? Has your old team disbanded? Many new raid teams are forming, and existing ones are looking for new players. Take a look in the team recruitment section of the forums to find out how you can... I lost my place. How you can raid with your AIE members today.
And in Lord of the Rings Online, for the Hobbitses and other citizens of Middle-earth, Dux has been kind enough to deposit a bunch of rep items in the Men of Bree and the Mathorn Society into the house chest. In Star Wars Online, AIE had its third year, i.e. its trilogy anniversary celebration, with a world boss hunt and holiday music. Rumor has it there were presents as well. Did you know that at AIE SEMA and at Max the Gray on Twitter have their own podcast for SWTOR? Take a listen on iTunes or look in the newoverlords.com /category/listen. Look for the SWTOR Escape podcast. It's going on 70 episodes strong.
I know we did have beef on a few weeks ago to talk about Steam sales, but just a reminder, Star Trek Online is still on sale during the Steam Winter Sale. Starter packs are 50% off, and the Delta Rising Operation Pack is 20% off. Also, in Final Fantasy, our FS house now has a starlight tree out front, and it is lovely.
Yep, Jasmine has a picture of it on the forums. Please go take a look and enjoy. And in EVE Online, a lot of the information from EVE comes from the Slack group. If you play EVE and are in AIE, make sure you sign up for this great service and app. If you've not heard from Slack already, AIEU will be tax-free for the holiday week until January 2nd, 2015. Get your tax-free ratting in while you can. The tax rate will be raised come 2015. Also effective immediately, AIEU's jump freighter ranges and Jump freighter ranges are being closely scrutinized. Hoots made the decision to move our home base from QETZ-W to GJ0-OJ for a couple of reasons. Chiefly, we'll be able to bump up activity in the region and give Brave and Hero eyes on any potential encroachment fleets from Tenerife's. Additionally, it'll put us closer via the jump bridge to our Brave staging in GE-8JV. And with that, let's get back to Rado Zato and find out what's going on in the secret world. Redacted.
Well, quite a bit has happened recently. The biggest thing that happened was issue 10 got released in the game. And that's for those pretty much at home waiting to see, who've been waiting around for for new content. It's pretty much the other half of the Kaiden map. Pretty much where we left off was we help a whole bunch of various individuals who are in the northern half of the Kaiden map, and then everything kind of stops after you reach Harumi at her at the apartment complex where she and her brother are holed up, and pretty much from there it's like you're waiting to see how you can follow the rabbit masked assassin across the wall. A hole has been breached. Well, a couple holes have been breached in the wall now, and now we can see the southern area, and a lot of new mechanics are introduced that solely exist on that side of the map, though you can still, have the new mechanics active in other areas and try to get used to some of those things, since there will be mechanics for dungeons and raids that are going to be introduced later on when we get to the second map of Japan. The biggest thing that got added in was we got our first expansion to the Aegis system. For people who are watching on the video stream, there's a new thing that got added on our character bar. When you do the mission that unlocks it, it gets added on there. And pretty much when you're in parties, you can see people who have either completed it or who have the item equipped that generates this new thing. But in Kaiden, all the monsters there had a Aegis shield that was either one of three things, either demonic, psionic, or technological. And so you got these controllers that you tied to your weapons that pretty much you could do damage to those shields. Unless you had the correct type of damage to the correct shield, you couldn't do any damage whatsoever to the monster while you're attacking them. Well, now the characters get shields. However, our shields are kind of reverse and a bit weaker, but they are a form of mitigation now, at least against the specific things. But effectively, it's for a while now, all the monsters in Kaiden have been doing normal damage plus a special type of damage. It's just that we've not been able to do much against it. Plus, everything in the northern half doesn't do a lot of that special damage, so that it's not as punishing. The southern half, however, they do a lot more of this special damage. So it's kind of having these shields helps. But pretty much what it is whatever that special damage is, they'll have an indicator on the monster that lets you know which of the three damage types they do, so that you can have a shield that matches that. And pretty much it's the additional damage they do gets soaked up by a separate shield health track, and then their normal damage goes to your normal health until your shield's depleted. However, one nice thing, at least for healers, is as long as your weapon type is the same as the shield type of the person you're healing, you can replenish that shield so that it can, you can keep both health tracks up as high as possible.
Can you equip? I know some healers or some characters can equip more than one weapon. Can you do a shield type on each, or is it you have to pick a specific one and that's it?
Well, the central shield, and again, for the people watching on the video, you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. As I've got this up on the screen. But for your weapon Aegis, you get to pick on what's on your left equipped weapon, at least in relation to your normal gear equipment. So, like for example, in the example, for what I'm showing here is I have a blood focus as my left weapon and an assault rifle for my right weapon. When I go to my Aegis equip section, so whatever's on the left-hand side, this applies to whatever weapons in the left hand from the previous page. Whatever's on the right-hand side applies to the right-hand weapon. And there's some enemies that will have two shields you need to wear down, and so having different kinds of energies or being able to swap between the different damage types makes it so that you can burn down those shields faster, so you can just do normal damage like any other normal thing you fought beforehand.
Gotcha.
The new addition is the towards the top, which is the Aegis protection, and that also you have two ways to swap that. You can either bring up your inventory, find your alternate ones, and just equip it straight across, or the handy way that they tell you is that you can just click on the icon of which shield you have active, choose which of the other two that's lit up that's not active, and it will do the swapping that way. So far, there are no additional Aegis Protector items, so it's pretty much it's very simple. Where it's like, okay, it's just these three, mainly, and it's kind of nice because those three kind of only they only do their own core focus thing. Everything else kind of there's no extra bonus. Whereas the weapons, they actually have special effects where, like, okay, when you break the shield, you can stun them, or when you break the shield, it heals you, and things like that.
Very nice.
But then you also have enhancers, which is like, little tweaks you can have that happen to either side, either the weapon Aegises or the shield generator.
Okay, got it. Cool. So it's definitely I don't want to say a mini game, but it's definitely, you have to know kind of what you're doing when you go into the areas so that you don't get slaughtered immediately.
Mm-hmm. Some other things that got added is a lot of new NPCs. Unlike the earlier section of Kaiden, they didn't really go into, hey, here's all these people we're going to preview. They kind of just sprung a lot of them on us. But like the first person you interact with, and he's like, as soon as you cross over the wall, you follow a trail of that person on the trail of the rabbit-headed killer. That person's he's a private investigator, and he happens to be dressed up in like a bunny costume because evidently he was at another location. He just swiped an outfit over there.
So you are saying rabbit, not rabid.
Yeah, rabbit.
It's like basically,
Gotcha.
so basically you're going down the rabbit hole.
Right.
Quite a bit, yes.
More so than normal with this game.
Let's see. After you interact with him, and he reveals, hey, I'm looking for this rabbit, and he sends you to go look off for some things. He also has like a normal action mission, and this is the one that lets you finally get the shield. Which, for people who unlock this content, you really need to just start that mission and complete it immediately because your survival jumps up a lot when you have it. But it gives you some a quick intro of like, here's the 3 new regions, because they pretty much the southern end is divided up into like 3 core regions, where the train is a lot of tech shielded stuff. The apartment complexes is a whole bunch of psionic stuff, and then the shipping warehouses is a lot of demonic stuff. It's not exclusive, but that's like, roughly what to expect for the most part, unless like a rare monster is roaming about.
Is that because you always find demons in a box? Is that why they're in the warehouse?
Maybe, but like the story behind those particular ones is there's a lot of weird mutations for the demonic ones. Like they to imply that they grabbed filth-infected things from other areas, exposed them to something else, and have something even crazier come out of them. So there's actually a new monster model in that area, and they're kind of interesting to fight against. It's pretty much the ape model.
Cool.
Gotcha.
And when they herald it in, they full on, like this NPC you're following, heralds in their appearance with, unhand me, you damn dirty ape. And it's like,
Of course.
Oh, perfect.
Like
They went there.
Watched Planet of the Apes.
Awesome.
But they've added they've reused a couple of the models that you see in like the Transylvania area, but put a new spin on them, at least things from the Shadowy Forest, which I kind of wholeheartedly believe it's like they took things from the Shadowy Forest, in the game storyline, exposed those to stuff, and now those things are mutated.
That makes
Like,
perfect sense.
There's one monster where it throws little podlings around, and they start to slowly grow. And if you let them, it spawns more ads, and the main one will keep doing that until you can either kill it or control all of them and then deal with it. So it's kind of a race of either burn the one thing down if you have the gear to do so, or learn how to swap target or have AoE ability so you can burn down the pods before they hatch, or be able to burn down what hatches because you had to leave it alone. So
Right.
some interesting tactics there. Another interesting thing is a lot of the quest rewards here, they give you these keys to certain warehouse storage lockers, like what you'd see like on a shipping crate, and pretty much you can open those keys and it will spawn a random monster that looks like some of the other monsters you've found previous in the game, so like Reapers and zombie hulks and things like that. But they have like the dual Aegis system. So you pretty much get to go like, hey, let's do some, at least for now, pinnacle content with all the new mechanics. But they drop some interesting rewards. Like a lot of them will drop bombs that help you defeat a particular shield type rather quickly without actually having to change what your Aegis damage type is. So you can just like, okay, use this consumable while still staying in one thing, because that's what you're going to use to burn the second shield.
Perfect.
Gotcha.
Another interesting part of the storyline, you get to learn a lot more of what the Morning Light, who's been a ever-present faction, who's been doing a lot of weird, crazy, out-there cult called the Fear Nothing Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty much, you get to see the horrible, nightmarish merging of the two, and these two massive set piece fights where the first one is against like this preacher, and through the whole fight he's sitting there quoting weird, twisted filth scripture, filth inspired scripture. And then the later set piece battle in the same room, you get to fight this massive filth monster that you've got to drop columns around so that you have places to stand as the room's getting filled with filth.
Now, is this a multi-person scenario battle, or is this one that you solo? How does that work with TSW?
For this particular mission, the majority of these missions, except for one of them, they are all multiplayer stuff. So you could have, like, if you play as like a tank and you got a buddy who's a healer and another buddy who's a DPS, you could like 3-man this stuff and just be super efficient with being able to control all the monsters, keep everyone alive, and burn them down. They are all soloable as well, so you can just do a normal soloing build, but you can run around with your buddies. The lone exception is the final mission. It forces you to be solo just because of the nature of what happens story-wise in it.
Oh, cool.
But it's like, it would be nice if you could have multiple people, but due to just what exactly happens, they kind of can't.
Right.
So, but it's it's fine enough that you don't need other people to do it, especially since a lot of really weird and out there things are happening.
Great.
Yeah.
I would ask you what that final mission is, but I know it's redacted. So.
Yeah, it's kind of like a massive reveal. Aside from when you're done with the whole thing, they kind of hint at, okay, when issue 11 comes out and it opens the next map where you get to go to Orochi Tower, like, we know what the heralding event will look like so that we can go out there.
Gotcha. So here's a question for people coming back to the game or people wanting to start the game. What's the easiest way to come up to speed with where they're at? Is it just to jump in and start playing the storyline and it will take you through the story, or are there good sites off the Secret World website to read up with where you are in the game?
Well, the easiest way to dive back in and catch up with what's happening, especially if you've been away for a while, because again, this is a buy to play game, so like you can come back to this without having a subscription. To play whatever content you've bought, stays with you.
Right, because I forgot, it releases an episode. So if you buy the original game, you essentially have the original story as it was introduced, and then but I think the current buy the game goes up how many issues?
The current core game goes up to, I think, issue 2, I believe is what it is. It's 2 or 3, but I think it's The Vanishing of Tyler Freeborn. I think. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
But like the storyline wise, it takes you through the end of I just had the name of the zone before. It's the third and final zone in Transylvania. Takes you all the way through that. But like if you've lost track of like, okay, what was I doing? On your quest tracker, which is traditionally, and I emphasize this because a new update came in that changes this. But normally, just off to the right-hand side, you can have so many different missions assigned to your character. So like your topmost is whatever you're currently tracking, but after that you have the story mission. This can only be filled with the active actual story. So it kind of gives you here's what you're currently doing, here's where you can go. And this story mission weaves you around all the different maps, so you can go pick up all the other side missions going on, so you can experience all the extra storytelling that's happening. After that, you have a dungeon or raid mission, but it's the same thing. You're going to instanced content. Then you'll have a main mission, which is all the extra things. And the main mission can either be a red action mission, a yellow sabotage mission, which is like you're playing Metal Gear Solid, where you're trying to sneak around and avoid things. And then there's the green investigation missions, which is the signature thing of Secret World, where it's like, okay, here's a puzzle. You got to collect and work all these clues together and figure it all out, because they're not going to just point, go here. And the closest you'll get is like, here's the rough area, but you got to find a small detail within that area.
Go read this gravestone, and then that'll lead you to where the actual item that you need to get is, because you'll find out that the gravestone was so-and-so's house, and that house is over here, and in that house in the chest is what you actually need to go get. Yeah, that was what I really enjoyed about Secret World, and realize this is the internet, so everything's spoiled online. So if you want a walkthrough, you can get it online, probably with video in explicit detail. But that was the fun part I think we had with when we were playing it, because we were duoing it together.
The puzzles were amazing.
The puzzles, yeah, the whole storytelling part of it, or the investigation part.
Yep. And but another thing, like as you mentioned, you can go online. Like the game has an in-game browser. You just hit your B button, and it's like it takes you to a custom Google search that's kind of got like a Secret World-ish splash page, and it's the search field is Google, and then you could have you can click the thing of, hey, I want to search Secret World, so it kind of hides spoiler sites from you, if so you can try and keep it as in-game and as immersive as possible if you want. But there are those things on there for like here's your spoiler tracks and here's how to find all that. But that's how the investigation mission. But then you also have 3 actual side missions, which are like items you pick up along the way. That's like most MMOs, where you go to a hub and you pick up a whole bunch of quests. The side missions are the closest to that, like at least with how Secret World works, where it's like, okay, you find these things either while you're doing a main mission, so you pick up this thing along the way, and as you're doing some other main mission, or it's here's these 3 things by someone. You do those missions while you're doing a mission, that they give out to you.
Now, question for you. I know we said the base game, the buy-to-play game, the base game is issues 1 and 2. How much generally is each issue after that?
I believe, if I remember correctly, each of them has been about $10-ish. A bit less if you because they give various numbered discounts based on that. But it's like from what I recall, I believe each has been about $10. The side stories DLCs that they've offered up, where it's nothing but like a whole bunch of supplemental things, I believe those ones tend to be like $5 editions.
Makes perfect sense.
So it's like they're not as expansive as the full big old DLCs,
Right.
but it.
And does Steam have anything special going on with Secret World for the holidays and their huge scary winter's tale?
Oh yeah, there is, and pretty much like like all the with any game, any storefront like Green Man Games and Steam and things like that, they're always having sales. But like of course it's the winter sale with Steam, so they're doing like big old stuff there. I think they're selling all of their different bundles at quite a bit of discount. So like you can get your base game at like a nice easy discount where you're not paying much. And that pretty much is like normally the game is like $30 for just the base game, but they've got a nice big discount there, which I'd say for if you're a person on a budget, that's like your best entry level way to get into the game. Like even
Right.
for example, like I have a brother who's like, I don't have he's like, I don't got a lot of time to to play. I'd like something that I don't have to, keep subscribing. It's like this, buying during like one of these sales is kind of the more ideal person for someone on a budget or someone who doesn't have a lot of time. It's like, I'm interested, but I don't want to throw down and then have like some buyer's remorse.
Sure.
Now,
Right.
granted, this is a good game. I love
yeah.
it. But, again, different people have different priorities and situations. But like, base game, quite cheap. Usually they'll get
and
they'll,
then,
like.
no, I was gonna say, and then you can get like the DLC because I know, like right now on Steam, if you get the Buy Secret World Massive Edition, it's all the way up through issue 7 with the base game, and it's 25% off. And I think it was right around $30 or something, which is half the price of what you'd pay for a single player premium A game right now.
Right.
Mhm.
I mean, you can't even pick up. Yeah, that's. Yeah, you can't even pick up a Wii U game for less than that.
Oh yeah.
As we well know from having a 12-year-old
And
Christmas
she should
time.
know. Yeah, exactly.
But like for example, the Massive Edition is like if you're like so like have a whole bunch of content because you are gonna rip through it. That
Mhm. Yeah.
of the Tokyo stuff is I believe that's issues 8, 9, and 10 now.
Mhm.
I believe, but it's
Okay.
it's quite a bit. But you can get those if you do buy it through Steam. Any further purchases in the game, they pull it from your Steam wallet. So like Steam's still getting their cut, but it's like
Yeah.
but you're still playing the game and enjoying it. But like the Massive
Yeah.
Edition is like like normally without a sale, it's a steal for the content that's being provided.
Oh,
This
yeah.
sale is like again, if you're like way wanting to get into this game and have a whole bunch of content just waiting there with no waiting around, it's like this is a good bundle to grab.
Well, especially since
Yeah.
people are off for the holidays, colleges aren't in session right now. So yeah, if you're just gonna sit there and chain pull games, go for it.
Oh yeah. But so these are a lot of the neat things you can grab for those sales, and they're really nice and and helpful for all that. But another big thing that you really want, like if that also nicely coincides with the the timing of these sales, is right now Secret World has their version of their Christmas event.
Mhm.
Now the last 2 years they have pretty much held the ongoing tradition of Secret World does not do your normal Christmas event. Like we're not going to have our, here's all our presents under the tree and all that stuff. It's like no, something weird and crazy goes on.
Well,
So
it's
the
Secret World. It has to.
Yeah, it's like these are other things going on, and they're always fascinating. So, like the first year, the 2012 Mayan calendar ending thing was going on. So it was the End of Days event, and Mayan zombies were rising up, and you
Mhm.
could fight like this big thing out in Zabalba, like this big, massive Mayan zombie. The following year, it's like, okay, we can't really do the Mayan thing because obviously it wasn't the end of
It
the
didn't
world.
work. Yeah.
Well, aside
tried.
from that, but the calendar didn't factor in leap years, and so the expiration time for that happened years before.
Years
so
ago, right?
so it's like it's even doubly didn't happen.
Right.
But so it's like, okay, what's Secret World going to do this year? Well, that year. So last year it was Krampus. Now,
Got it.
Now, like last year, I was on here discussing who the Krampus is, but he's pretty much like
Evil Santa
in
Claus.
kind of. He's like a counterpart, or he teams up with Santa Claus. Whereas, like, Saint Nicholas goes out there and gives toys later on in the month. Earlier in the month, Krampus goes around and rounds up all the kids who've been bad all year, rounds them up, takes them to his horrible lair, and whips and beats them and punishes them because they're bad.
Right.
And so, like, there is like a holiday that's practiced in a lot of like Middle Europe, for Krampusnacht. So they introduced the Krampus, and traditionally his mother was Hel. So you get to fight.
One L, not two, right?
Yes, one L. So
the
like
Norse Hel, yes.
Like Norse deity.
The Norse goddess.
Mm-hmm. And so you can do battle with Hel in two different variations. There's like a massive raid version that's an open world where it's like anyone who can just get in there can go fight her. Or there's the private dungeon one where it's like, okay, you round up your 5-man party and you do a very, very complicated version of the fight. Whereas like the raid one is more of a do some survival tactics, but just like tank and spank and burn. Mm-hmm. Whereas the dungeon version is like, okay, we got this mechanic, okay, we got to watch for this, and here's all this, and here's a wipe. Mm-hmm. So that's that's what happened last year. So this year it's like, okay, well, we can't have zombies because the end of days didn't happen.
Right.
If we do Krampus again, that's just going to be boring. So what are we going to do this?
Krampus was last year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this year it's the ultimate conspiracy, the Christmas conspiracy.
Oh wow.
Okay, this one is centered around I can't remember if it's a opera or a play, but it's it's called The Magic Flute. So
yeah, it's an opera.
That's okay. I thought it was an opera, but I wasn't 100% sure. But it's an opera called The Magic Flute. Mm-hmm. And for some people who are a little savvy with some conspiracy theories, they may have noted that there are some Masonic symbolism in that opera. Like you can notice there is actual things people point at going like, this is Masonic stuff because the person who wrote it was a Freemason.
Was a Mason, right.
And this kind of tends, through history, to be something that happens with people who are Freemasons, where it's like they kind of include some of the symbolism. Now,
look at the dollar bill, yes.
Just look at your $1 bill in the United States. A lot of our founding fathers were Freemasons. So now, depending on where you sit on the conspiracy bandwagon, and again, this is a secret world. A lot of things, in the game is like, yeah, this is totally true. But depending on where you sit on this is, how far it goes. But in this, it's pretty much the Phoenicians, who are pretty much, aside from the filth just being horribly bad, corrupting, and evil, the Phoenicians are like mercenaries who are like, as long as we're getting paid, we don't care. So they're kind of
goblins.
They're kind of like a face, an actual like human bad guy for at least the Illuminati, the Templars, and the Dragon that the players get to play as. Mm-hmm. Like so far, we haven't really had like as terribly good interactions with the Phoenicians. I mean, there's a couple odd exceptions, but like as a whole, we don't really get along with them.
Yeah.
Well, the Phoenicians
all we do is raid Donchinos. Oh, different Phoenicians.
Phoenicians, darling.
Happen to be in Phoenix. Sorry.
They're upset with our large amount of AIE here. That's all.
But pretty much what it is you're going to be investigating some of the truths behind that as you go and raid the tomb of St. Nicholas when you go out to Venice. Uh-huh. But before you go there, you have a contact who gets a hold of you saying like, hey, I want to talk with you about some information because I was talking with someone else, and they said that you're trustworthy, but I want to talk to you as soon as possible, but I can't right now because I've got to go and perform in a production. And you've got like a special seat in the Avalon Theater, and pretty much you get to start. You get to see the curtain rise as the Magic Flute starts, or at least an in-game version of it when the Phoenicians show up.
Of course.
And so you go to stop them, and then it's like, okay, I need to look more into this, because you do find out some notes of like what they're looking for. They're looking for like this special kind of holy oil and some poison there. But so you're trying to find out, okay, what is it exactly they're trying to get out of this? Because this is the secret world. Things that legendarily are magical actually are magical.
Are magical, right?
So it's like, or at least they're very likely to be. So you go to Venice and you go through some of the tunnels there to go, investigate St. Nicholas's tomb. When you get there, you take this flute that you picked up from your, well, now dead contact and some sheet music, and you stand on this circle with like a Masonic icon on there, and pretty much if you play certain 6-noted tunes on there, well, 6 to however many tunes on the flute, you make certain things happen at these particular spots. Like you'll learn some songs like how to make certain locked doors open, or how to silence whispers, or summon flames, or have water quench the flames, or how to make a magical moving statue retreat or advance. And you get to put all of it together in this one massive chain puzzle later on, where it's like, okay, we got to put all this together as you're trying to defeat the Queen of Shadows. When you finally get past all that, you get to the chamber where the actual body of Saint Nicholas is buried, and the Phoenicians are there.
Of course they are.
You got to chase them off, and then after you get a whole bunch of mooks gone, a rather familiar Phoenician that we've met, at least if you recall from when, like, if you've been playing with the current storyline on your way on the quest stories that lead into Kaiden, there's a particular Phoenician agent that you meet, and she comes back. And so it's like, oh, it's her again. You get to do battle with her until finally she retreats, because she's not throwing her life away. After scaring her off, you get to collect the stuff that they were trying to, the agents were trying to get themselves, and then you see the ghost of Saint Nicholas go over and tend to the body of the original person that your previous contact said, hey, my friend, recommended you. You get to talk. You find out that their friend had died there in the tomb as well, and the ghost of Saint Nicholas comes and takes the body away, and it's totally gone. And it's like, whoa. Cool. So pretty much what we get to do every time you finish this mission, which is about a 18-hour cooldown, so roughly once a day, you'll get a loot package that can help you build the Wassailor outfit. Now, there's 2 versions of it that you can get, so it's kind of random which pieces you get of it. But there is a black version of it, or there's 3 others, but technically your character can only get one version of the 3 others, which is the faction-colored version of it. So for your Illuminati characters, you'll get a blue-themed one. For your Templars, you can get a nice red Christmassy-looking one. And for the Dragon, you can get a nice green Christmassy-looking one. So, that's the fun things there. Or, you can get the black stuff, which is, pretty much a lot of events they do here, they'll do the faction color version of it, and then like the black version of it. So it's like, pretty much the black is here's your neutral for everyone. But on top of that, we get replays of a lot of the previous events, so you can go fight the big Mayan zombie in Zabalba. You can still fight the Krampus and Hell, roaming around everywhere, every Christmas conspiracy, and get another piece of that. If RNG is not your friend, they have added something that was introduced with the previous Halloween event, where they have some lock boxes that give additional chances at loot. There's an individual box that pretty much goes here. It counts as if you completed the Christmas conspiracy quest and got another one of those random bags, so you can open it and get another piece. Or there's a mega bag where, and I think this is one of the better things that certain free-to-play games do, at least for their lockbox-ish kind of things, where it's a super bag that it gives you a random piece just like normal, but it also gives a certain number of people surrounding you random things as well. So it kind of promotes the, hey, I'm being nice and giving these things to some people, and others was like, wow, that was so cool. Hey, I want to do that too. And so it kind of helps promote the, hey, let's all help give each other a bunch of things. In fact, like in Agartha, the main hub area, there's usually like a huge huddle of people trying to like pick up some of those things. Because the other reason for why you'd want to buy it is if you have at least 10 people benefit from your gifting, it will unlock an exclusive dance move for your character, which for Halloween, it was the Thriller dance.
I forgot about all the... That's the piece that always escapes me about Secret World, is I forgot that they have all the custom animations and the things you can unlock and collect. And that's another thing that makes it kind of awesome.
Yep. So, like, for those watching the video, they could kind of see, like, my character, is doing the Thriller dance. But the
oh my gosh.
Yep. But for the most recent one, I think it is Single Ladies. Is
oh no.
God. So...
That's awesome.
So again, for the video people watching, you can see like your character can do the Single Ladies dance. So
yep, she's doing it.
And so it's a nice loop there. But for the video people, I'll show like I'm about to as I continue answering some questions and talking about more stuff, I'm going to show some of the at least the intro thing involving with the play. So do you have any other questions you have about the game and how things are going?
I think we're pretty good. Do you have any, Jet?
I don't. It's just every time we have you on, I want to load the game back up and get caught up and see where I am in the game. So we may need to set some time aside and get our characters caught up.
Oh, definitely. A nice thing that also got added in for at least for anyone who's been like top end progression and like has been busy with other games. I mean, there's been a quite notable game that recently had an expansion that a lot of people found popular. But there's what recently came out with issue 10 was the Nightmare Zone in Kaiden. Now, a Nightmare Zone exists in all the different maps, but it's pretty much these are elite monsters that when you kill them, they'll drop the signets, which are little things you can attach to top-end gear that help tweak certain certain actions with certain abilities. So it's not exactly like it's like burst abilities get a bonus or sword abilities get a bonus. So instead of like this specific action within swords. So they now have a Nightmare Zone in Kaiden that's out with the docks, and they have a whole bunch of dual shield monsters you can go fight. So you can run the whole gambit of all the different here's all the things I've unlocked and can do. So now I can go practice those and harvest some signets to upgrade for my gear instead of going to some of the things have gotten a little bit more stale from older maps. So that's a nice thing that has been added in there, and I've been liking it quite a bit. Plus, there's also a fun side mission you can go there that involves a captain who like a captain's hat that's left there, and it's like, well, I wonder whose it is, and you're trying to go find the captain, and eventually you do, and it's like, well, I guess here's your hat.
Right.
Oh no.
But other than that, I think that's pretty much it. On the horizon, there should be, I believe, a dungeon, a lair, and possibly a raid coming up for the Japan content.
And remind me again the difference between the dungeon and the lair. I know the dungeon, the raid are pretty self-explanatory, but what's the lair?
Yeah, well, for dungeon raid, I'll go into that because there's some people, there's certain games that we all play in AIE, or if you're new to this podcast, it's like, well, what is this? Okay, but, Dungeons and Raid is pretty much magnitude. A dungeon is a instance thing of content where generally your normal party size that traditionally involves a tank, a healer, and the rest of damage dealers go in and clear out a whole bunch of bosses. A raid is pretty much you have a higher magnitude, so there's more people involved for bigger, nastier bosses, but it's more people working together for similar content. For those familiar with World of Warcraft, the two raids that exist in the Secret World have roughly Onyxia-style dungeons where it's like there's hardly or no trash at all as you go to a single boss, fight them arena-style, do a whole bunch of mechanics, and then get the loot.
Gotcha.
The layers are effectively for the more casual. They aim this more towards the more casual player, but it's more of like a open world dungeon. So instead of it being instance where it's just you and your party, other people can show up. Similar, if you've played EverQuest or some of the older MMOs, where old dungeons were okay, everyone's got to wait in line and take their turn because you literally were sharing the same space. That's about how layers work, where it's like open instanced dungeon kind of content where other people, you can bring other people that are either within your group or just like hangers on, where people can just pass by and go, oh, there's some people there, I'll help out,
pile on and help. Yeah, exactly.
Yep. The exception, though, is if you're ever doing any of the because what happens is you fight monsters there and do quests there to get these summoning pieces to summon bosses in these places. The first tier is bosses that can only be summoned on that particular map. Then the second tier is from defeating those bosses, they drop pieces for a higher boss that is pretty much a boss for the region. So there's one for Solomon Island, one for Egypt, and one for Transylvania. And each of those has a specific summoning location to get them. Because the previous tier, they'll have like 3 to 4 summoning circles, so the environment's a little different, but not totally like this is the best spot. It's more of a I kind of want to fight them here today instead of there today. So the higher instance stuff, what those do is the party of people of who starts the summon, those are the only people who can actually interact with that one, because that tier is actually supposed to be a little tougher. But then those bosses drop pieces, so you can do the layer raid boss, who is similar to the New York City raid, but like model-wise, it's a familiar creature, but mechanics-wise, it's like, oh, there's all these things to take care of and watch out, and whoa, what, here comes these things. So that's how layers work.
Okay, cool. Very cool.
Awesome.
All right. And are you guys doing anything with AIE in the Secret World? Are you guys doing any special events upcoming or anything, or is it just if somebody new joins in, how do they find you in the Secret World to know how to join up?
All right. Well, a couple ways to join up is similar to some of the other divisions. Secret World, we do a trial invite system. So pretty much like we will invite you into the Cabal with limited privileges, so that you can enjoy, get in and experience the Alea Iacta-S gaming community to see if we're a fit for you. After a month, if you haven't actually gone through our normal filling out the application, which is a minute and you're done. I mean,
right.
It's
right. Yeah.
But if filling that out pretty much gives you all the rest of the perks and awesomeness that's part of the community. But we run a month-long thing for that, where it's like, okay, you've got about a month to see if if we're a fit for you, or you're a fit for us, and things like that. And there's no pressure on it. It's like, okay, you're in the chat channels, you're in a Cabal, you have you can participate in particular exclusive events that we do with that. But that's the easy way there. But you apply you go to our Umami site, fill out the application. That's how you get in, fully and officially. We do have some regular things that we try to get done. Sundays around this time is normally when we try to set aside for like the dungeon progression nights for like the 5-man dungeons, and this can be either the low-end dungeons, because we're not going like you've got to be the max level people, but like that is welcome as well. But like if there's lower level people where it's like, hey, I've never been able to get into this dungeon, it's hard to find a group, it's like that's good. Sunday nights are a good night to log on and see about getting into a group, especially joining into our merged Cabal channel that lets Templars, Illuminati, and Dragon players all chat together. Because normally a Cabal is faction exclusive, so only
Right.
Illuminati or only Dragon, but we use a merge chat channel so that we can all chat with each other and coordinate things.
Of course.
Because
Nice.
Partying Up is not exclusive, it's just the Cabals are exclusive, which is
Right.
a little weird, but it fits with the lore of the game.
Yeah.
Wednesdays is when we try to do layer content, so like if you're wanting to try some of that, the more casual end game stuff, Wednesday night's a great time to log in for that. Another thing that can happen that our Cabal has been invited to try out later on in the evening after when we usually do our layer stuff is another community, kind of has like, open good standing where it's like, hey, if you guys want to try out the New York City raid, which is kind of upper end tier content with what's going on now, people can interact with them and sign up with them to try out that content. Mondays is a general progression night, and this is kind of the big grab bag wild card night where it's like whoever logs in kind of dictates what happens. At least my default standing on it is like, I show up and find out who's all there, and it's like, hey, what do you guys want to do? So if you're like trying to get through a tough quest, we can help you with that. Again, if you want to do more dungeon content because you like missed Sunday or something like that, we can do that as well. But like it's kind of a grab bag. Let's see what people want to do and try as many things.
Very cool.
Wonderful. Well, I think that is about it for our show tonight. While the chat room begins suggesting show titles, we want to thank Rado so much for joining us. So, Rado, if people need to find you, what's the best place for them to do that?
One of the nice places to check out what I, chat about or like to discuss or things like that, you can follow me at RadoZato on Twitter. Another possible location is there is a Facebook group for our, the AIE in the secret world, and that's where we'll post like if there's anything new or in particular that's going to be coming up. That's a good place where that that kind of information gets shared.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you're looking for, if you're kind of liking Facebook quite a bit, and it's a nice way to get that information out there while you're checking in with your other friends and things like that.
Right, great. And is that just going to be just look up AIE in Secret World, or what's the easiest place to find that on the Facebooks?
Let me check that exactly. One moment. But while I'm checking that, but also there is a blog that I occasionally write for called Across the Board Games, and they write a lot of opinion and review stuff about a lot of indie and popular like new games that are coming out nowadays. In particular, they have like a lot of things that are, I'd say, like that are worth your time kind of games that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
But for if you're looking for it on like the group on Facebook, it would be AIE:TSW is what you want to search for. And if you're seeing the Alea Yocta S logo with some dossiers, you pretty much have found the right place.
Perfect. Well, thanks so much for that information.
All right, and if you have a question or a comment about our show, you can email us at podcast@aie-guild.org. You can also follow us on Twitter. The show is at AIE Podcast. For our regular hosts, Aludra is at Aludra_AIE, McCullough is at Cyberwave, and Tetsemi is at Ivory Tiger. We record live with video every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. You can join the chat room and play along with us on our website at the AIEpodcast.com. Our theme was composed by the amazing Andrew Allen. Follow him at Keys with Soul or visit his website, keyswithsoul.com.
And now it's time to play all the great AIE member segments that we received this week. Or in this case, one segment because of the holidays. We're happy to give you guys This Week in AIEU. Next week, we'll be talking about someone in some game. We're not sure yet. We're still trying to get it all scheduled. So until then, AIE, this is McCullough.
This is Tetsemi, and this has been the AIE Podcast. All right, and it looks like Demand shot titles, not show redacted. Let's see. Sybil has TSW issue
we're
10.
off the air, right?
We are off the air.
Okay,
I
well,
will.
the
I'll
redacted's
stop the
supposed to-
broadcast in just a minute. Yeah, let me stop it
okay.
real quick.